welcome to episode 4 of Femme Power on WIS Sports Radio, where we believe that women in sports deserve equal coverage. Femme Power is a podcast where we talk to women and girls in swimming and sports who inspire us. If only for the night. Couldn't be more excited for our guests today. Christen, Shefchunas, and I are joined by a dear friend, somebody that we've both met along our journeys, and her name is Katie Meili. So a little bit of background information on Miss Meili. Katie is a graduate, so we're going to preface this by just saying Katie's a lot smarter than both of us. She's a graduate of Columbia University. And in 2013, after graduating, she went on to become a professional swimmer. In 2016, Katie made the U.S. Olympic team and competed in Rio, where she won a bronze medal in the 100 breast and a gold on the 4x100 medley relay. At the 2017 World Championships, Katie won a silver medal in the 100 breast. And now, like that's not good enough, Katie is in law school at Georgetown. Welcome, Katie Meili.
Hi, thank you. This is so exciting. What a sweet intro. And I'm gonna preface everything I say by saying not true, definitely not smarter than you two. But thank you.
Let that be a warning to anybody listening. Katie is very, very humble. So we are going to have to do the bragging on her today. And believe me, I have plenty to brag about. So you know, Katie and I have a relationship because I got to work with her for a year when I was working at SwimMac Team Elite. And kind of the backstory on that is, you know, David Marsh had brought me in to speak to SwimMac. And when I was there speaking, he said, hey, would you do a one-on-one with Katie Meili? And I was like, yeah, sure. So she and I sat down at a Starbucks and it was kind of like soul sisters right away. We totally, you know, bonded. Everything that I was talking about as far as confidence goes, you know, she got, and it's just been, she is a huge part of my heart. I can't say enough good things about her. So, what I do want to start with is a question, because here's what I know about you. When you graduated from Columbia, you were set to, or you were thinking, okay, now it's time for law school, but there was something in you that felt that there might be more in your swimming career. And so you took a big risk and ended up moving to Charlotte and training. Kind of talk to us a little bit about that, because I think that's so important when people feel like there's more and actually taking the risk to go for it. So tell us the story about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just before I start to go back a little bit, that conversation that you and I had at Starbucks was not only like an instant connection, soul sisters, but it really sort of changed my journey and my relationship with the sport and my coaches in such a positive way. And honestly, to everyone listening, meeting with Christy really changed my trajectory and sort of launched me onto a path of success. And I'm so grateful that I was able to spend that time with you. It seems like it was longer than a year because you were so important to my journey and to my success. So just to say thank you before we start.
Thank you.
But going back, when I was graduating from Columbia, I had improved a lot in college in the NCAA, and I was still improving at a pretty rapid rate, and I was still in love with the sport. But I wasn't really good enough, or I wasn't good enough to be a professional swimmer and to compete with the best in the world on sort of an international level. So in my mind, it was just going to be the end of swimming, and I was going to move on and get a job working at a law firm for a couple of years and then go to law school. But luckily, I had some incredible coaches and a lot of great support staff and great family that believed in me more than I believed in myself. And they were the ones that really pushed me to think about continuing swimming. And I wanted to do it. I just didn't think that I was good enough. And I've always had really high goals, but I've also been the first to sort of check in with reality and be like, oh, these goals are great, but it's never going to happen. So I should move on to different goals. But I had some really good coaches that sort of sat me down and they looked me in the eye and they said, "We think you can go to the Olympics in 2016." And I thought they were absolutely psycho. And to their credit, they did a lot of the work. They took me to a couple of places where I could train. I was introduced to a few coaches. That's when I met David Marsh, was my senior year right before I graduated. And a few things fell into place in Charlotte that made it feel like it was meant to be. I met with David at the what was then the Charlotte Ultra Swim, which is a pro swim meet in Charlotte every year. And he had no clue who I was. He must have been having a good day, because he kind of just looked at me and was like, "Sure, I guess you could come join our team. I have no idea who you are, what you want to do, but if you can make it work, we'd love to have you." And then a little bit later, I met with a family, the Hughes family, whose daughter was a junior in high school at that time, and she was interested in swimming at Columbia. And so our paths kind of crossed in a serendipitous way. And that family actually had hosted previous Team Elite swimmers, as a host family, so they could come and stay with them and didn't have to pay rent or find a place to live. And it opened their home to me. And then a third thing that happened was through a family friend that owned a company in Charlotte, I was able to get set up with a part-time job, who were so great with my schedule and understood what I was doing. And they offered me a job to come and work when I wasn't swimming to sort of supplement my lack of income, because I moved to Charlotte to be a professional swimmer, but I actually didn't make a dime off of swimming until I think a year and a half into it. So it was a bit of a struggle at first, but all these incredible, selfless people sort of supported me and believed in me and gave me the opportunity. And I thought, the universe is trying to tell me something, and I would be absolutely crazy to not give it a shot. So I did. I took a big leap of faith and I made the move, and I cannot be more grateful.
And that is just to put it in perspective how, because I hear all of this, Katie, and you talk a lot about, serendipitous moments and it's kind of the universe. But to me, you just sound incredibly brave, for you to, and maybe a little bit more backstory. In 2012, you finished in 48th place at Olympic trials.
That's such a great stat. I love that one.
It is. No, it's it is a great stat, because I think it just further proves, you weren't the standard, I guess, candidate to just graduate and turn professional. Right. So that would be more like people who were on the national team or on the verge of being on the national team. But you kind of saw something, and the people around you, to give them credit, they saw something in you like, hey, maybe this isn't the normal path that people follow to qualify for the Olympic team, but there's something really special about Katie Meili. And even more so, the fact that all of this is happening, Katie, not when you're a spring chicken, you're not 17 years old, finishing in 48th. You were a college graduate, and in our sport, it's so rare to see people just continue to make massive improvements. But something that Christen and I were talking about before getting on this podcast with you was that you're just the kind of girl, you just seem to always make the right decisions. Where does that come from? We're like,
I have no idea. I actually don't know if that's true. It's funny. I've always been the type of person, and I think it has a lot to do with my parents. I don't really stress too much about making decisions. I love having a plan. I don't like things sort of being up in the air, but I am one to sit back and say, everything's going to happen the way it should and how it should. And there's really no reason to stress about that. And so, this comes from something that someone told me when I was really little, but at night when you're driving and it's dark, and you have your headlights on, if there's no sort of street lamps around you, you can only see to the end of your headlights. But if you just keep driving, you're always going to see further and further. You just can't see it right at that moment at one time. And so that's kind of how I feel like I live my life. I'm driving to the end of where I can see. And when I get there, I'll be able to see the next steps a little bit more clearly. And so I've never sort of made, when people are like, oh, what's going to be your plan in 5 years or 10 years? I really hate that question, because I honestly don't have an answer to it. But I kind of just go where the wind blows. And I have been really lucky to have people that have supported me and the decisions that I've made. But every time I make a big decision like that, it just sort of feels right. And that's a weird sort of way to describe it, but that's really how I I make those decisions and how I sort of move forward with my life.
And that is your humble answer. But let me add this, because Kara and I were talking, beforehand, is yes, you are someone who always is moving forward, always taking steps forward. But at the same time, if there's one thing and there's so many things that stand out about you, but something that always stands out about you when I think about you and the year we spent, while you were training, is watching you do everything right. Meaning, you would do the extras, like Pilates, you loved Pilates. So you did that. You were always focused in on your nutrition. You were always focused in on working with me, with your confidence. I always say, I think athletes, make a big mistake when they think that training is just the pool and the weight room. Training is the extras. Training is the confidence piece. Training is the, the nutrition part. So you were somebody that, yes, you took steps forward, but whatever you did it the right way, meaning you gave 100% in each part of your training.
Well, thank you. Going back to Kara's point, I mean, I'm not old by any means, but I'm definitely getting older. I'm 27 now. And it is hard the older you get, and you don't recover as well, and your metabolism isn't quite as it used to be when you were 18 or 19. So it's important. And also this is my 20th year of competitive swimming, which is crazy to me. But you guys both know it. You've been around it for so long too. And honestly, like sometimes the training, I just get so bored of swimming back and forth. I've been doing it for so long. I've been doing the hard training for so long. So in my head, it's like, okay, number one, I can't train like I used to train in college and right after. My body just kind of doesn't really allow me to do that anymore. It doesn't set me up for success. And number two, it's like, what can I do, that's new and different and better? And what can I do that maybe my competitors aren't doing outside of the pool, because I know I can't quite do as much as they can in the pool. So yeah, all those little extra things, taking care of nutrition, trying to be really strong in the weight room, and supplementing it with everything I could to sort of be aware of how my muscles were working and how they were going to make me a successful breaststroker, to supplement what I was doing in the pool is a really important piece for me, and still is as I'm continuing on, and maybe even more so now.
Sure. Well, I want to get to the good stuff. I want to talk about, talk about trials, Olympic trials, 2016. Yeah. I kind of want to, I want to hear that story and what your thoughts were going into trials.
Sure. It was a pretty, if I can be blunt and honest, I think everyone expects me to say like, oh, it was an incredible experience. And yeah, it was so cool that I made the Olympic team. But, the other way I would describe it is very traumatic. It's a really hard meet. Yeah, Kara knows. It is a very intense, stressful, emotional roller coaster it's like 10 days long. And not only are you worrying about what you're doing, but you have teammates and friends and people that you have spent years with and years building relationships with and years training next to. And you're watching them either at their highest high, making the team, or missing it and being at their lowest low. So not only are you having to manage every single one of your friendships, and I mean, the swimming world, we're all so close, we're like a family, but you're also having to manage your own emotions and your own stress in your own race. And it's a lot to deal with. And the 48 hours of my event, because at trials we swim prelims in the morning and semifinals that same night, and then the next night, 24 hours later, finals. So it's 48 hours of I say it was the worst 2 days of my life until the minute I finished racing, and then it became the best day of my life. But
wow.
Yeah, it's just it's a testament to how good the US is at swimming, and the fact that you could be your best. Like I knew I could have had my best race. I knew I could have gone a lifetime best time, and I knew I could have done that and still been third or fourth and off of the team. So to sort of like when I moved to Charlotte, I moved with a larger goal of making an Olympic team, and I put my life on hold for 4 years, and to have all of that riding on, a minute and 5 seconds where you think you could make it, and it could go one of either way, and it was really a 50-50 kind of shot. So yeah, there's a lot of intense pressure there, and not only pressure for yourself, but your family's there. Every single one of your friends that you've ever made in your entire life seem to text me that day and be like, "Good luck, I'll be watching." And it's like, "Great, thank you." Just let me know how many more people are watching. And of course, that's an incredible, it's so great that they're all supporting me, but in the back of your mind, you're like, "Oh, I hope I don't let them down." So just a little bit of an added pressure to it as well. So I remember, I almost felt sick those 2 days, nauseous, sick, and you can't sleep, you can't eat, so your body's not in any way in a good place to compete at your best. And yeah, it was just crazy, but obviously an incredible rush of emotions. As soon as I finished, the next morning when I woke up, I felt like I had the flu. I felt so sick and just wiped out and tired. The morning after you made it? The morning after I made it, yeah. It was, I don't know. Did you feel like that, Kara? It was just a crazy, release of stress and emotions, and my body was just I'm shutting down. You're done. We need to recover.
You've exerted everything. You've exerted everything. That's a good way to describe it. And you are literally, the way you're talking about this, you're bringing me back to those feelings and those emotions. And for those people that don't quite understand the process at Olympic trials, to make the Olympic team, you have to swim your event. So let's say for Katie Meili, she had to swim the 100 breast once in prelims, and then she made top 16. So she swam it again that evening, and then she qualified for the top 8. And then the following night, she had to swim to race for the Olympic team and finish in the top 2. So when you say it's 48 hours of you feel sick to yourself, yeah, that's it's so accurate. It's so grueling. And I can only imagine the next morning, it's just there's no emotion left. You drained everything for that moment. What day of the meet is that? Was your race?
It was day 2 and 3. So pretty early on.
Okay.
And then I had to, I was swimming other events. No chance of making it in any other event for me after that. But this is how Katie Ledecky and Michael Phelps and anyone that swims multiple races, I am so impressed with, because they have to deal with that emotion in a way that they keep it in a manageable place so that they can get back up and compete again. And I think that is the most impressive thing in all of swimming. It is so hard to deal with all that. So they really blow me away. But yeah, so then I had to watch, continue to watch my friends make it or not make it. And so for the whole 10 days, you're kind of just on this crazy emotional roller coaster. And what everyone is always surprised to hear, and I think most swimmers agree with this, is that once you get past trials and once you get to the Olympic Games, it's there's pressure, and it's nerve wracking, but it is like a cakewalk compared to trials. And, everyone is a team, so we're not competing against each other, and everyone's supporting everyone. And it's the icing on the cake, really. It's you're just going to represent your country, and the feelings are so different. Amanda Weir actually described this to me, and I think it's so accurate. She said trials is this dark and scary place, and if you know the venue at all, it's in this really cool arena, but there's no windows, and there's all these crazy lights, and it's very dark and scary. And she goes, then when you get to the Olympics, it's usually an open air arena, and there's bright colors everywhere, and everyone's happy and smiling. So it's just a very different sort of vibe, and everyone, I think, prefers the Olympic vibe.
Absolutely.
So speaking of Olympics, let's talk about that, because, what I really want to talk about is, when I go around and speak, obviously, I use so many examples from working with you, because you were such a good, student. I don't know what to call you. You were just,
thank you.
You did the work is what I'm trying to say. And so anytime I go around and speak and I say, hey, who here has heard of Katie Meili? I'm kind of surprised at how there aren't, not every hand is going up in the room. But then I say to them, okay, so did you guys watch Rio? I'm like, did you watch Lilly and the Russian and the 100 breast, right? And every hand goes up. And I said, well, what no one noticed was quietly, the American who came in and touched for the bronze medal. And it was funny because as I was watching from home and watching all of that go down with Lilly and the Russian, I thought, come on, Katie, get into it too, put up your dukes and start getting. But then I thought to myself, I'm like, that's so not Katie. She's just so graceful and so full of dignity. Like she's just, not that wasn't dignified, but it's just like, you just go in there and do your thing. And, you're not focused on, all the other stuff. You're focused on just doing your best. So kind of talk to me about that whole scenario.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So for those of you who don't know, the Russian who got the silver medal, her name's Yulia Efimova, and she had been banned previously 2 times. So she has kind of served 2 bans for doping, for cheating, with drugs, performance enhancing drugs. And then right before the Olympics, the IOC had banned 7 Russian athletes from the games, and she was one of them. This was like 2 weeks before the Olympics, but Lilly and I both were kind of expecting her to be there anyway, just because everything around that whole world, unfortunately, is a little bit wishy-washy, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of enforcement, and things get said and then overturned pretty quickly. So we were both kind of expecting her to show up, even though about a week before the games, they were like, these 7 athletes are out. They won't be here. They won't be competing. And lo and behold, the night before we raced, Yulia was reinstated in the meet. And then that morning in prelims, she was there racing. And so I think we were both smart to sort of go into it being like, we absolutely know she's going to be there. And whoever made that decision, whatever, like that's the decision they made. And it's kind of something that you have to be like, okay, this is it. And these are the girls I'm racing. And that's the end of the story. And now all I can do is focus on myself. And I don't know if it's just because I was a little bit older or whatever, but I knew I wasn't going to make any sort of statement during the meet because, again, like there's already so much going on. I was like, the only thing I can do is focus on myself and focus on the race I want to have, and whatever else is happening around me, it is what it is, and I can't control that. That doesn't mean that I'm not proud of Lilly. I'm actually very proud and impressed with her for standing up in what she believes in. And here she is, new to the Olympics, kind of new to the international scene, and she just sort of came out and said it. And I don't think if you've been caught for doping, you should be competing here. It's I believe in clean sport, and I think we should all compete clean. And that took a lot of courage and a lot of strength. And not only did she say it, but she backed it up, and then she backed it up with her swimming. So I have a lot of respect for her. It's not necessarily the way that I wanted, like that. I mainly because I don't think I'm brave enough to do that, honestly. But yeah, no. And so then it became this huge thing, and that's fine, and that's great. And it brought a lot of awareness, which is what's needed, because we all want to compete clean, and we all want to have a sport where people aren't cheating to get an advantage. So that's great. My thing is that I don't personally like taking it out on the athletes themselves, especially because the doping in countries like Russia, we know is sort of a systematic doping situation. So the athletes aren't choosing to cheat. I think the athletes are being told by higher ups and higher ups and higher ups that they have to, or maybe they'll lose their funding, or maybe they'll lose their spot on the team. And I didn't grow up in Russia. I don't swim for the Russian Federation. I have no idea what it's like. So who am I to criticize the athlete? When my criticism is pointed towards the governing bodies like WADA and FINA and the people that are supposed to protect the integrity of the sport, because they're clearly not quite doing their job or following through with what they want to do. And so that's where my criticism lies. And it's hard because you want to blame the athlete because they're the one that are getting the accolades, but I don't necessarily think it's really the athlete's fault. Or I think there's much bigger fish to fry, I guess is what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Well, talk about that race for me. Talk about that 100 breast at the Olympic Games, the finals. Talk to me about what you were feeling and behind the blocks, which is always the scariest place, right? And then during it.
It's pretty crazy. I don't think I remember the race like at all. I remember the last 10 meters because I was dying. And I just remember being like, please, 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 like, please hold on. Like, come on, arms, like, keep going. But that's all I remember of the actual race. I do remember like the lead up very clearly. I was pretty nervous. And I remember talking to one of our coaches, Jack Roach, who's like such a great coach and such a great addition to any team and just so calm and peaceful and so great to be around. And I asked him to tell me a story because I was so nervous. I was like, just tell me a story and like get my mind off of swimming. This was after I had warmed up, but before I was like headed over to the ready room. And he told me this amazing story, about this little boy. And I'll sort of briefly try and recap it. So there's this, I don't know if it's true or not, but we can just pretend it's true. So there's this young boy who kind of lives out of the city. And his mom really wants him to start piano because she thinks he's really good at it. But he's like, no, he never wanted to practice. He never wanted to do it. And then a few months later, this great pianist is coming into the city. So the mom gets tickets. They get all dressed up. They go downtown. They go to the concert hall. And while the mom's sort of talking to some friends, the little boy wanders off and he wanders up on stage where there's this beautiful grand piano with like a beautiful tough seat. And he just starts playing like chopsticks on this piano on stage. And everyone turns around. The stage managers start yelling at him to get away. And, the mom turns around and she's mortified and she runs up to the stage. But the performer had heard him playing and seen him. And so she came out from the wings before the show started. And she sat down behind him and reached her arms around him and started playing a melody that matched like the sort of hodgepodge chopstick songs that he was playing. And it just became this beautiful moment. And so Jack was like, you should think of everybody in this arena and all your family and friends of putting their arms around you and supporting you and turning something very basic into something really grand. And he was like, you're swimming on your own. Like you individually might be a small piece, but with everyone supporting you, you can make this something incredible. So here I am like bawling my eyes out walking to the ready room because Jack Roach told me this cool story. You're already emotional, whatever. So when I was sitting in the ready room, I was like, okay, well, who am I grateful for? Like, who is this swim? How did I get here and how did I get to be sitting in this seat right now? And I just started naming out loud, like people in my life, like my mom, my dad, my sister, everyone that had helped me get to that point. And I was saying their names out loud and maybe people thought I was crazy. I don't know if anyone was paying attention to me, but I was talking to myself and Christy, I mentioned your name. Everyone that had sort of gotten me to that point in my journey, I wanted to have them in my mind and sort of swim for them. Cause I know that swim wasn't just because of me. It was because of so many people. And that, like expressing that gratitude, I think really helped calm my nerves. And then when I walked out, I was like, okay, we're all doing this together. And the medal that I win, if I win one, won't just be for me. It'll be for all of them too. And so it was so fun to walk out and, the crowd is going crazy. And I saw my sister in the stands and it was just a very special moment. And then I don't remember the race. So I guess that part was more important anyway.
That is so cool. And let me say, I have to add this in, and I know I'm talking too much, but there's just so many good stories about you. When we first started working together, you said you spoke it out loud. One of the things that you realized about your fear and your doubts and things like that, you had to speak it out loud. Yeah. And it was such a cool story because your first ever, when you made the national team, your first ever meet, I remember you were standing behind the blocks, getting ready for the 100 breast, and the fear and the doubt started to kind of overwhelm you. And you saw Madison Kennedy walking past and you were like, Maddie, come over here. And you're like, don't say anything back. I just need to get this out loud. And she just, you just threw all these fears and doubts on Madison. And I know. She's like, okay. And that was it.
Yeah,
And then
I
you
do. It
stood up
it
and-
is helpful to sort of dump it off, but you have to be a little bit careful with who you're dumping it off to.
Sure.
That can also be absorbed. So yeah, great advice. Don't do it to like your main competitor or someone that's about to race, maybe like a good friend, someone one step removed from what you're doing. But yeah, that was an important lesson for me to learn. And Christy, I think you taught me to do that because yeah, we all have doubts and we all have fears, and there's not one person that steps up behind the blocks without doubt or without fear. Even Katie Ledecky, who is so dominant and wins races by like minutes, I'm sure has doubts and fears when she gets behind the blocks, because you're not afraid of what you're not afraid of what you're about to do. You're afraid of all the work you've done and all the pressure you put on yourself, and you're afraid of not living up to the standards you've set for yourself. And that's a really hard thing. And so to sort of, I think to just get it off your chest is the best way to deal with it. But
I do too.
It's a hard thing.
Yeah. Yep.
So Katie, that kind of leads us to today. So can you tell us a little bit about, your time at law school? I don't think there are any other current national team swimmers that are attending law school. So how are you, maintaining your training and your grades and your studying and things like that? Give us a little update.
Yeah, I absolutely love law school. I'm so excited I decided to do it. That being said, it's definitely a lot of work, and it's been interesting. It's been a challenge for sure. My days are really busy. Like, I don't have a ton of time. I noticed after kind of going through it for a few months, I don't really have like any extra time in the day. So, and if I do, it's spent like doing laundry or going to the grocery store. My days are pretty regimented, and that's fine. I like it. I like a challenge. Swimming I've been so lucky. The Georgetown undergrad team has sort of taken me in, and their coaches have been great. Jack and Laura really went above and beyond for me. They'd come in at times, like if I couldn't come in because of school or if I had to come in at a weird time, they would often take time out of their day and their personal time to come in and coach me. So they've been like really gone above and beyond, and I'm so grateful for them. And the team's been supportive, and I wouldn't, like, I came in to practice late 30 minutes because I couldn't get there on time because of my classes. And then had to stay 30 minutes late, and a lot of the swimmers would stay with me. So they've been great and a great support system. I love being back in a college team environment because the mood is just always so light and airy and fresh, and everyone's like, it's a social place. And I think in Charlotte for the past 4 years, every day was pretty intense. Like every day you were expected to show up and be excellent. And that's important. And that's the reason why David has so much success with his swimmers. But at some level, it's nice to show up and just kind of take the pressure off and enjoy the company and still work hard, but, have a few laughs and can kind of just enjoy being around crazy 18-year-olds again. So that's been great. And then on the flip side, like school, I've always loved school. When I was growing up, I loved it. I loved it in college. The reason why I went to Columbia is because I knew academics were important to me. And law school's been no different. It's been so interesting to learn about the things I've been learning about. And I have some great, like, amazing professors that have done so much and accomplished so much. And to be in DC has been a treat as well, because we're studying law, like basically in the places that the laws are made. And, right down the street is the Supreme Court, and the Capitol. So it's a pretty cool place to be learning about the law. Especially in our current political climate, which is a bit crazy.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, so I spend most of my weekends, honestly, just reading, like sitting in the library. It's pretty crazy how fast the hours go. I'll sit down at like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and then I'll look at the clock again. It's like 5 p.m., which is insane. But that's probably been the biggest adjustment, is I spend a lot of time sitting either in class or in the library reading. And so my body's kind of like, what are you doing? Like, I'm used to exercising 6 hours a day. Like, get up, get it going. So yeah, it's been a challenge, but I needed something new. I needed a new challenge. I think it's always important to keep it fresh. I think things can start getting really stale, and I think you can get into sort of a complacent vibe, which I don't think is very healthy for elite athletes when you're in one place for too long, sort of doing the same thing. So I'm really happy I did it. I'm actually leaving on Saturday to go to San Diego to swim with David again for the summer. So I'm really looking forward to that, to being a full-time swimmer again, and not being a student for a couple months will be great.
Wow. Amazing. And what is, when are you going to graduate? Do you know yet?
Expected in May of 2020. So if I was going, doing trials and going to the Olympics, it would be right before that. I haven't decided if I would take either a semester off or a year off around that time. It kind of just depends on a few factors that, again, once I get to the end of my headlights, I'll figure out.
Yes.
But,
yes. I love that.
Yeah, but no, I haven't quite decided yet. But if everything goes according, like if I just go straight through law school, 2020 will be graduation date.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you know this about our podcast, but I always like to end our time together with a little challenge to everybody that's listening. And
oh, I love that.
Yes. One of the main, things, again, that stands out to me about you is, that risk that you took after college, and you felt that there was more. And so you took that risk. And so my challenge today to everyone listening is, what is your more? Because I truly believe that if you feel there is more, there is more. That makes me think about, when I was coaching at Miami, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to be a coach anymore. And, I want to work with women and the confidence piece and do this and that. And I remember having a conversation with my brother, and he interrupted me and he said, you do know you're in control of your life, right? And I just remember thinking, am I? I don't know if I am, because I had been a swim coach for 16 years and I was in my swim coach box, and that's what I was supposed to do. And, that really hit me. And I think it was probably 2 days later that I went in and handed in my resignation and took my big risk, and moved forward because I felt that there was more. So, I just want to challenge everybody listening. What is your more? And then again, knowing that if it's there, if you feel it's there, it's definitely there. And I mean, look at Katie. I mean, she has an amazing story, but she wouldn't have the Olympics in her story if she didn't take that risk and go for the more. So that's my challenge to you all listening.
All right. Thank you so much, Katie, for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedule. We will be cheering for you this summer, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. So great talking to you guys. And thank you for letting me get to share a little bit about my story. And hopefully it encourages some others somewhere. So thank you guys so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. WISP Sports Radio is the world's largest network for women's sports, available on any podcast app where there are more than 800 episodes. For more conversations from the world of women's sports, visit us at www.wispsports.com and follow us on social media at Wisp Sports, at Carolyn Joyce, at Coach_Christen, at Lead Sports Summit, and at Katie Meili. We'll be back next week with another episode of Femme Power.
It's only for the night. It's only for the night. It's only for the night. Touch your body.